Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Michael Smith. I'm the National Consumer Education Manager of Janome Canada, and I'm back at my palatial estate to share our second edition of our new series, Ask Janome HQ. So every other week in this new year, I've been doing the Magical Machine Mystery Tour. I'm still going to continue that for this year because, of course, there's so many Janome machines, and maybe you've seen our teaser ads. The new machine is coming in April, so yes, I'm going to be continuing Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour as a build-up to that big, beautiful new machine. But then every other week, I'm doing this new segment, Ask Janome HQ. So this is your opportunity to get some questions perhaps answered live if I have the tools and the machines and all of that to demo, or again I'll collect all the information from our Janome Canada and Janome HQ social media. People ask us lots of questions there, and then I always monitor our Janome HQ. That's another YouTube channel, that's another place where people ask questions. So I gather all that information and then we'll put it into these presentations here. So away we go. Oh yes, Sandra says, can't wait to hear about the new machine, little by little by little. Yes, we're all anxious. So let me flip around. So today we're going to be doing Ask Janome HQ. Again, next week we'll be back doing another Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. So for today's episode of Ask Janome HQ, we had a question actually this morning. We post on Janome Canada social media and Janome HQ social media what we're going to be doing on our Instagram lives for the, every Wednesday at 1. And, I gotta make sure my cords are okay. So we post it on the Janome Canada Instagram page and Janome HQ Instagram page. Again, what we're going to be doing for the presentation in the afternoon. So today we got a question of, is there a cloth guide for the Continental M7 here? So you'll see, the beautiful Continental M7, which I have demoed actually 3 times on Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour because there is so much to this machine. So you can go back to the IGTV icon on Janome HQ Instagram page to review all those Magical Machine Mystery Tour presentations, or go to our Janome HQ YouTube channel. I load all the Instagram live presentations there. Gordon Madeline, hello, great to see you. So here for the cloth guide, yes, we have this fabulous metal cloth guide, which we can use with our Continental M7. Now, the unique thing about the Continental M7 here is there is a magnet holding this needle plate in place. So often people ask us, could I use a magnetic seam guide because of the magnet that's down in this needle plate? And you'll see there's a warning here, strong magnet there. So I say, well, specifically for the magnetic seam guide, it's probably going to be okay, but, we don't have the official word about that. So I say, don't even bother to use it. Janome has this fabulous metal cloth guide. It's been around for years, and it works beautifully. I love this cloth guide. And it is available in a separate blister pack now as well. Some of our machines, the cloth guide here comes with it in this quilting attachment kit, which again, a lot of our QDC machines. Oh, Craig is here. Oh my gosh. Hello. Thank you for joining me. A lot of our QDC machines, for example, have this quilting attachment kit that come with the machine as a special bonus. This quilting attachment kit also comes separately as is, and that cloth guide is included. But, we can also get the cloth guide, the cloth guide all on its own here. And the great thing about it, it comes with these 2 screws, one which is longer than the other. So there's a long one, there's a little short one. And in our needle plate here of Continental M7, we have a hole in the needle plate. So we can use the smaller screw, and we're just going to screw that into place. So simple, so easy. And conveniently on the Janome patented needle plate here, we've got several markings. So I can line this up with the 1/4 of an inch line markings here on our needle plate and on our bobbin cover. We can use whatever foot we want to use with this cloth guide as well, so that's always good. But if we want, 5/8 of an inch, for example, we're a garment sewer and we've got a commercial sewing pattern and they're typically 5/8 of an inch seam allowances, we can move it to the 5/8 inch mark and then screw it down to secure it. Many of the home deck projects have 1/2 of an inch seam allowance. So again, we just loosen that, adjust it to the 1/2 inch mark. Again, conveniently, the needle plate already has those markings, so we just tighten it down. So there we go. Or let's say, again, we're going to be doing some curtains. We're hemming some curtains or hemming a big winter coat or so. We can, again, move that cloth guide. So now we have a nice big deep hem there. So again, we've got a lot of flexibility with this adjustable cloth guide here. So that is available to use with your Continental M7. Again, it comes with a separate blister pack of the cloth guide with, again, the 2 little screws. And why they have the 2 little screws in the packaging, because, even machines like, this beautiful HD 1000, now this is the black edition of the HD 1000, but there also comes in white. Now, I demoed this HD 1000 as well for Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour, so go back to review that. But here in the HD 1000, there isn't a hole in the needle plate, but in some of our machines, then there is a hole here in the plastic housing of the machine. So we can use this larger screw. That's why there are 2. So the smaller one will go into the metal needle plate. The larger one will go into the housing here of the machine. Now, although it is covered in this plastic, the actual guts of the machine are metal. So we're actually screwing through the plastic coating of the machine and down into the metal base that all Janome machines are built of. So that's why, again, we need that longer screw. So we're actually screwing into metal. And same thing, even on our kind of more basic HD 1000 here, we do have some markings on our needle plate. So we can, again, adjust the cloth guide for, again, that 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 of an inch, 5/8 of an inch, or again, our big deep hem here. So we've got lots of flexibility there. So this metal cloth guide is available in a separate blister pack, and again, is compatible with a number of Janome machines. So again, specifically for Continental M7, it's wonderful to use, because then again, maybe we don't want to use that magnetic seam guide with the machine because of the magnet that's in the machine. And again, it could be okay, but again, why worry about it? Instead, use that metal cloth guide. So that's available from your Janome dealer. So another question that we are asked all the time, and again, you can go to our Janome Canada, specifically Instagram page, but on any of our Janome Canada social media, or again, Janome HQ social media to ask questions. But I see in all the various Janome user Facebook groups, and again, questions that come up to us all the time is, do I have to use Janome needles in my Janome machines? What kind of needles can I use in my Janome machines? Do I have to use Janome bobbins in my Janome machines? What type of bobbins do I use in my Janome machines? All sorts of questions. We got lots of questions about thread. What type of thread do I use? What kind of thread do I use? Do I have to use a specific kind of thread? So I thought today would be a good opportunity to let's talk about some bobbins and threads and needles. Now, last episode of the Ask Janome HQ, our debut episode, which was 2 weeks ago, I talked about needle plates and the various needle plates. So I thought, well, today would be a good tie-in. We're actually going to talk about the needle. And yes, when people say, do I have to use Janome needles in my Janome machine? Well, of course, we would prefer you to use Janome needles in your Janome machine because we know they're going to work. They're manufactured to work in Janome machines. Now, you may find in some of your machines this little pack of Oregon needles. Oh, Census Leia, hello. And Oregon is the company that actually produces Janome needles. They've been around forever. Janome celebrated 100 years last year, and we're currently in our 100th year. Oregon Needle Company, has been around even longer, and they make Janome needles. So Oregon, though, in some of your machines, you may get this little paper packet which has 3 needles included. So if you don't find Janome branded needles like this that actually are saying Janome branded, do know that yes, Oregon is the company that makes Janome needles. So you can find Oregon needles perhaps, and this is another packaging that Oregon needles comes in. Specifically, these are super stretch needles, so great to use with your knit fabrics. So you may find Oregon needles at your Janome dealer, or any of your sewing machine dealers. You may find Oregon needles. So Oregon needles are totally fine to use in Janome machines. But yes, we have some Janome branded needles. And I must tell you that I've been a Janome user for like 30 years. I have a very small drawer of needles because these 3, Janome really tries to make things easy for us. These 3 needles are the ones that I use the most. So therefore, I don't have a whole ton of needles in my drawer. All the needles available, they can be very confusing. There are specific needles for specific purposes, though. So it's very important to use the proper needle for your fabric and for your thread. But these 3 needles here that you may see some information about and wonder, what's it all about? These Janome Blue Tip size 11 needle, for example. And we're sometimes asked, well, where's this blue tip? Well, we mean, if I can open this, the blue, we mean the blue is actually on the, I just put on some hand cream, because my hands are so slippery and so dry. So here, blue up here, we're talking about blue. We don't mean the tip of the needle down here. Blue is here. So size 11 needles. Now these are, the size of the needle refers to the eye of the needle. So the size 11 needle has a slightly smaller eye. These size 11 blue tip needles, they have a slight ball point at the tip. So these are great to use for your, cotton knit fabrics, great to use for some thinner fabrics, and great to use for even embroidery. For most standard embroidery, Janome recommends the blue tip size 11 needle. So again, a very good, useful needle to have for a variety of purposes. Now the red tip needle is size 14, so it has a larger eye and it has a sharper point than that blue tip. So these red tip needles, these are the needles I use for 99% of my sewing. Again, so versatile. So again, samples. You always need to do your test samples. That's something Celine always recommends in her Facebook Lives, as well as the red tip needle. So, or in the, always to do your samples. So the red tip needle, again, with that size 14, you can use thicker threads with, the standard threads of a 40 weight, 50 weight, use your size 14 needle, red tip needle, no problem there. Some of your, regular cotton quilting fabric, I use the red tip needle for when I do my piecing, and then I will do for my quilting, I will often use the red tip needle. Or then I may go up to purple, which I'll talk about in just a minute. So again, do your experimenting, but for most of my sewing, the red tip size 14 needle will be fine. Should you use the blue tip on the Memory Craft 550E? I've been using red tip. Well, the thing is, and again, it's great to experiment, size 14 is perfectly fine to use for embroidery. You can use all of these needles on all Janome machines, with the exception of like the long arm machines. Then you shouldn't be using these needles. Or again, your sergers, your cover hem machines, they will specifically tell you on the machine, what needles to use. Those are different machines, but for regular sewing and embroidery machines, that yes, it's perfectly fine to use your red tip needle, especially if you're doing some thicker embroidery. I like using the sharper point here of the size 14 for embroidery when I have a more dense design, and that sharper tip will penetrate the fabric layers more easily. So again, good to experiment. Now the purple tip is also a size 14, but the wonderful, to me, these are like the magic needles. They're worth their weight in gold. You can never have enough needles in general. But purple tips in particular, I love when I am doing free motion quilting, when I'm doing ruler quilting, quilting through those thicker layers. I like having that purple tip because it has a special flared cobra head. So it has that size 14 eye, that slightly larger eye. So again, it's great to use for your 40 weight thread, 50 weight thread, even your 30 weight thread. Now the weird thing about thread, and I'll get into thread in just a minute, is the higher the number, the thicker or the thinner the thread. So an 80 weight thread is very thin. So then again, with your 80 weight thread, I would probably use the 11, or you could even go down to a size 9 needle. That's a very fine needle with a very fine eye. And again, you'd typically use that 80 weight finer thread with finer fabrics. For thicker fabrics and thicker threads, again, that larger eye of the size 14 red tip or the size 14 purple tip. If you had a 30 weight thread, for example, the lower the number, the thicker the thread. So a 30 weight, for example, is a thicker thread, and then I would use the purple tip needle, for example, and with that cobra head to spread the fibers of the fabric more easily, then it would work better. Is there no sound? Oh, can everyone hear me? I hope okay. Maybe it's just on sound, could be on your end. Could somebody give me a thumbs up that yes, they could hear me? I hope. Oh, hello, All About Crafts is here. Great. I'm assuming there is sound on my end. Yes, I believe there is sound on my end. Yes, can hear you. Okay, perfect. So if you can't hear me, or if there is any trouble, then I always recommend everyone, yes, go out of Instagram entirely and then come back in. And that should resolve any issues. So yes, oh, excellent. Thank you everyone for letting me know that you can hear me all. That's wonderful. So yes, now when we talk about needles, oh yes, look at this gorgeous needle. Ooh, there, this big needle here. So when we talk about, and again, you'd be looking at it like this, the eye of the needle, again, the size 9 needle, size 11 needle is going to be more smaller. So we would use thinner threads. Or then when we talk about the tip of the needle here and the slightly rounded, more like ballpoint needle, those are good to use for stretch fabrics. That ballpoint needle isn't going to cut the fibers of the fabric. It's going to help separate them a little more. So that would be, again, that ballpoint, slightly rounded ballpoint. The cobra head of the size 14 purple tip needle, just before the eye of the needle, around here is where it flares out like a cobra head, just before the eye. And if you picture a snake head like that, and then it flares out like that, then that will help spread the fibers of the fabric. So your needle thread will go down to intersect with your bobbin thread more readily. So again, great for free motion quilting, ruler quilting. It totally eliminates skip stitching. If you're going to do regular sewing, even, like those jelly roll rugs, for example, the pattern recommends using a denim needle, which typically about a size 16. I didn't have a denim needle. I had a size 14 red tip needle, and I started getting a little bit of skip stitches, but then when I switched to that purple tip size 14 needle with that flared cobra head just before the eye of the needle, that eliminated the skipped stitches. So again, these purple tip needles, again, are worth their weight in gold. So definitely you want to stock up on those. So that in a nutshell is about our Janome, our most common Janome needles. Now, if you go to our Janome website and go to the Accessories tab, you can print out this fabulous Janome Needle Selection Guide, and you can see go-to needles, purple tip, blue tip, red tip. But then more specialized, Janome has ballpoint needles for, again, stretch fabric, knit fabrics, denim needles for thicker layers, leather needles, needles for your sergers, top stitch needles, universal needles. Janome has them all. Needles for your cover hem machines. Janome has them all. So yes, it is good to use Janome needles in your Janome machine. Again, they're made specifically to work in your Janome machine. But can you use other needles? Well, yes, I would say stick to reputable brands. Brands like Schmetz, for example. Very common needles, again, have been around forever. And they are fine to use in your Janome machine. Make sure that, again, you've got the correct needle for the correct type of fabric and the correct type of thread. The only thing about using other brands of needles, or questions we often get about, oh, my needle threader, my needle threader is not working. What's going on? Well, it could be, one, your machine maybe isn't threaded correctly, so always go through your instruction manual to make sure it's threaded correctly in order to use the needle threader. But also, maybe it's the needle itself. If you have, like, again, that size 9 needle is very fine, the eye of that needle may be too fine for, if this is the hook. So your automatic needle threaders here, there's the eye of the needle, and then the little hook needs to come through to grab your thread. So if this size 9 needle, for example, is a very small eye, so maybe it's too small to use to have that hook and the thread go through the eye. So for your very fine size 9 needle, you'd be better off to thread it by hand. Same with your 30 weight thread, very thick thread. It could be that to have that hook and the thread go through the eye of the needle is going to be too thick. So for your 30 weight thread, it's better to thread it by hand. So also the eye of the needle on other manufacturers of needles, it could be maybe in the wrong spot. If I bring this back in position here. So maybe the eye of the needle in the other brand of needle is maybe too high, so that hook isn't going to go through the eye of the needle. Again, maybe the other brand of needle is actually too low, so not only is the hook not going to go through the eye, but maybe the tip of the needle might actually go down into the bobbin area and actually touch the bobbin. So, that's definitely not good. So, again, it's good to experiment. Again, I'd always recommend, of course, stick with Janome. We know that it's going to work, but yes, can you use other brands? Yes, they will work. You may just have some issues with either the needle thread not being, or needle threader not being compatible, because the eye of the needle in that other manufacturer's needle may not be in the right place to intersect with that hook of the needle threader. Or again, maybe those needles actually may be a little too long and they're going to go down into the bobbin area and may actually hit the bobbin. So that wouldn't be good either. So again, stick to a reputable brand. Are the purple tip chrome, though the information is a bit restricted? No, the purple tip needles are not chrome plated, if that's what you're referring to. Sometimes people have their needles like that are titanium coated and all of that. These are not. There are some other needles that are coated, but Janome's are not. They still are very durable, very strong needles. And in fact, when I will show you some samples here of like this embroidery, a free design, this peacock design is a free embroidery on our Janome.ca site in the Inspire tab. I embroidered this on my 550E, and again, normally I would use that blue tip size 11, but in this case, yes, with that dense embroidery, I did size 14 red tip, and again, no problem at all. When I did hear about, again, the applique, I decided to use this denim, so again, thicker, so that size 14 with that sharper point of the needle needle went through that denim and through the stabilizer and through the shirt, you know, more readily. So again, always good to experiment, but yes, your red tip are going to be fine for your embroidery as well. So that is good. Or these jeans that I typically wear for Instagram, and yes, I am actually wearing other jeans, but I demoed here using metallic threads, and this is a good segue into our threads. Again, when I use metallic threads, for example, I like actually using the purple tip, size 14 with that flared head, and that gives us some more room for the, again, fibers to separate, for the needle thread to pick up the bobbin thread more readily, to eliminate the skip stitches, and it eliminates the thread shredding as well, having that larger eye, and specifically with the purple tip, having that cobra head to spread the fibers, it helps eliminate the thread shredding. So that's why I like to use purple tip when I use metallic threads, either in the embroidery machine or when I am sewing as well. So, for more information of your needles as well, be sure to consult your instruction manual. So here is my M7 instruction manual, and again, it tells us if your fabric is, you know, fine or medium or heavy, and what needles you should use, what size needle, and the thread as well. So there will be information. Oh, Luciano, hello, hello. There is information in your instruction manual. And even here for my HD 1000, again, there is information in the instruction manual about your fabric, your thread, and the size of needle recommended for your thread and your fabric. So again, always consult your manual. So let's get into, now when you're doing some threading here, again, if you have to thread your needle manually, then we do have these Janome needle threaders. Yours will not be red here. I just do mine, so I know it's mine. I just put some nail polish there. But this needle threader is great to use because then there is a little wire. If this yellow is my thread, again, there's a little wire that comes out, and that will kind of punch the thread through the eye of the needle. So these needle threaders are great to use if you have to thread the needle manually. So that's available, again, separately from your Janome dealer. Sometimes you'll get in your machine, or again, available from your Janome dealer, like a sampler pack. This has a twin needle and blue tip and purple tip and red tip needle. So there's a sampler pack available too. But thread, as usual, the time is going by so fast. So thread, I wanted to touch on that, again, good quality thread. Sure, you can use any thread. Now, did you know Janome has, specifically like for embroidery, but I use this thread also for quilting. Do you know that Janome has Janome polyester embroidery thread? And we actually have these three box sets, 1, 2, and 3, that you can get again from your Janome dealer, and they've got all these beautiful, they're all labeled. Again, I've got all of mine stashed in my drawer, but again, they're all labeled with the color and the color numbers. And specifically for our Janome embroidery machines, do you know that all the designs built into your Janome machine correspond, all these numbers correspond with these Janome embroidery threads? So you can, which again look like that. So you can get these in a set from your Janome dealer or individually as well in the spool, that they're all the numbers all the numbers are built into the Janome embroidery machine. So you can get Janome embroidery thread, that again we know is going to work beautifully, but again, really any thread, just stick to good quality thread. Now from our Janome dealers, Janome Canada specifically, we're a distributor of Madeira thread. So of course, double check at your Janome dealer. We've got Madeira threads are great. And again, that metallic thread I love using. And again, I use that size 14 needle a lot with metallic threads, that purple tip, so I don't get any of that shredding or skip stitches with the metallic thread. So always good to see what threads your Janome dealer has. This is our Iris cotton quilting thread, 50 weight thread that I use with our, the red tip size 14 needles. I use this all the time when I'm doing my piecing, or if I'm, again, going to be doing free motion quilting, ruler quilting, I'll use that size 14 purple tip needle with my cotton quilting thread, and works out beautifully. Did you know Janome also has bobbin thread, 90 weight, thinner thread for their embroidery machines? Now, a lot of the embroidery machines come with these spools already, or again, in that box of polyester Janome embroidery thread, we actually have the bobbin thread little spool there, 90 weight. So these are available separately too, to use in your bobbin. It's slightly thinner. With metallic thread, do you use it in the bobbin too? I don't. If I'm doing my embroidery metallic, then again, if it was going to show through on the other side, sure, I guess I would. But in this case, like for the patches of my jeans, I just embroidered on denim. For my bobbin, if it's not going to show, then I'm going to use my 90 weight polyester Janome bobbin thread. Or I'm going to use my pre-wound Janome bobbin thread, which is 60 weight. And it also comes in black. So again, Janome's already got some thread here, 60 weight. I use these all the time for regular sewing too. Again, if my bobbin's not going to show, then I'll just use my pre-wounds black or pre-wound white. That's, again, 60 weight. I'll also, again, use this in embroidery when the bobbin's not going to show. And then with the pre-wounds, we even have, again, 60 weight polyester, 108 in white. So, yes, that when we love those pre-wounds, anything to save time in either embroidering or doing regular sewing, that again, I try to use these pre-wounds as much as I can for embroidery and regular sewing, again, available from your Janome dealer. So we know these threads are going to work fine because, you know, Janome endorses them. But again, any threads you can use, yes, again, stick to that good quality thread. Avoid that, 3 for 99 cent bin. We've got, like from Madeira, for example, the Madeira Katana thread in the multicolors as well. So again, you can really have a lot of fun effects, like all the hand stitch style stitches that are built into the Continental M7. They all look so beautiful and so unique with that multicolor katana thread. So again, considering using different threads for your appliques and for your decorative threads. Can those plastic bobbins be reused? Oh yes, what an excellent question. Yes, the wonderful thing about Janome pre-wounds is that they are wound on the plastic Janome J bobbin, so you can reuse this bobbin. That's a great question, whereas other, pre-wounds, you end up throwing them away. Now, speaking of bobbins, this is perfect to get into, and as usual, my time is flying, but I did want to touch on, do I have to use Janome bobbins? Can I use other bobbins? At least, if you'll be able to see, I don't know, there is a little J on the Janome bobbins now. This is, I'm not sure when they started doing that. It's been a couple of years. Again, if you've got an old Janome, then no, you're not going to have that J on it. But the Janome J bobbins now, they have a J on it. Believe it or not, these Janome J bobbins have a rubberized compound in them. So it helps reduce some of the noise and reduce some of the rattling that you may get in your bobbin. So the rubberized compound is built into the Janome bobbins. It's great when you're sewing along and, you're stopping, you're sewing at high speeds, and then you're stopping all of a sudden. By having that rubberized compound, it'll stop the bobbin without any of that like backlashing or bird's nesting. So it's really good to use the Janome J bobbins. Now, do I have to use the Janome J bobbins? Well, of course, Janome recommends that you do because, again, they are designed to work in Janome machines. We've got the fabulous 100th anniversary bobbins, for example. In the pink, we've got blue bobbins, or how about the red to use with any of your machines with Janome's accent color of reds. And again, they all have the J on the post. Do you have to use them? Well, no, you don't have to use them, but at least make sure that they're a class 15 bobbin. That refers to the size of the bobbin, because all bobbins are not created equally. So you may have some that look the same, they're same clear, but maybe they're going to be, some of the bobbins are a little bit more domed shape at the top and bottom. So you want to make sure that you get the class 15 bobbins that will fit in the bobbin area and be flush with the bobbin case, the bobbin holder. They need to be the correct size in order to work effectively. When people have some stitching woes and can't understand what's wrong, again, maybe if they have another brand of sewing machine, they've mixed up the bobbins of that other brand. So make sure, again, at least they're a class 15, or again, I would say, well, just avoid the doubt and just use Janome bobbins. We know they're going to work. You can keep all your bobbins in this fabulous Janome Bobbin Saver if you don't have the box there. And I want to address, because this is sometimes I see in photos and social media, people have used metal bobbins. Now, these are fine to use for your vertical oscillating hook machines here that have the separate metal bobbin case. That is okay. Did you know that Janome literally means snake eye? Yes, eye of the snake, absolutely. When they first were developing their machines and the bobbin specifically, switching over from the old shuttle system for the bobbins, and when they were switching over to the round bobbin, that yes, this reminded the founders of Janome that this looks like the eye of a snake. So that's how Janome came about. So yeah, so wonderful piece of trivia. So the metal bobbins, again, that I sometimes see in the drop-in rotary hook machines, and no, we do not want to use metal bobbins in the drop-in machines. The bobbin holder that's in these machines is a resin material. It is not metal, so we do not want to use the metal bobbins with that. So this is an example of the bobbin holder that's down in the drop-in bobbins here. We don't want to use metal with these. So that is also, again, if you've got stitching woes, make sure you're not using a metal bobbin. Now, these oscillating hooks that are vertical with that separate bobbin holder, that yes, it is okay to use metal with this, because again, it's metal on metal. But most commonly, Janome machines all come with, again, the plastic Janome J bobbin. So yes, you can use your plastic bobbins with the separate bobbin case for your oscillating hooks here. So the only time you would want to use metal, or maybe could use metal, is if it's got a separate metal bobbin case going into your separate metal bobbin area there for your oscillating hook. Other than that, you definitely want to use your plastic bobbins. About the Janome Grab-It magnetic pin pal. Yes, I love it. It's so cute. This Janome metal pin pal. Does it work? Oh, for quilting clips. So long as the clips have any metal on them, then yes, it will work. It's wonderful. It's great to keep your tools on it as well. Oh yeah, they do. Okay, because these are my fabulous Clover Wonder Clips. So yes, they will hold your Clover Wonder Clip. So or whatever manufacturer your clips are. So yes, that is great. Another fabulous use for the Janome magnetic pin pal. Magnet underneath the bobbin case can minorly affect the tension. Specifically with the magnet that's in the Continental M7. No, that doesn't affect the tension at all. Not threading the bobbin area correctly will definitely affect tension. So that's another thing too, to make sure that your machine is always threaded correctly as per your instructions. So that in a whirlwind, oh my gosh, we could go on forever. Will it hold 10 of them? Will the Pin Pal hold 10 Wonder Clips? Oh, I don't know. We'll just grab a bunch and we'll see. Oh, it'll hold even more. It'll hold lots. Your bobbin saver, oh, I think it holds, I want to say about 66 bobbins. So that's a good thing too. But yes, that in a nutshell. Oh my gosh, was that ever a whirlwind, as usual. Oh, referring to the metal bobbins in top-loading machines. Well, you wouldn't want to use metal bobbins in the top-loading machines. You would only want to use your plastic bobbins in your top-loading machine. Metal bobbins, again, you could use if it's vertical, oscillating, but again, just keep it simple and just keep with your plastic Janome J bobbins that they're there. Can we put our magnet pin holder on our sewing machine bed? Oh, sure. Specifically, again, with the Continental M7, yes, it does have that magnet under here, but I do this quite frequently, and so far it's been totally fine. It hasn't affected anything. So, yes, okay, I will let you all go for now, because again, I'm racing with the time, and I didn't want this to be too long, but with any further questions, oh, by all means, you can be writing me, again, either on our Janome Canada or Janome HQ social media, or by all means send me an email, classes@janome-canada.com, and then I can go into perhaps more specifics or longer explanations there as well. And then if we need to do another presentation, perhaps as usual today, I was so ambitious trying to cover many bases, many questions, but then perhaps then I'll just do another presentation just on thread. But again, it ties so well with needles as well. But again, there's always lots of information out there. So always consult your instruction manual, consult our janome.ca wealth information as well for our needle guide, for example. Oh, lovely. Thank you so much. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Who am I? I am Michael Smith, the National Consumer Education Manager of Janome Canada. And thank you everyone for joining me for our fabulous Ask Janome HQ segment. I hope to see you all next week for another Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. And again, what machine will I be talking about? Oh, I don't know. It's a mystery. So I will see you then. Thank you everyone for joining me today. I absolutely love it. This is wonderful. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.